Alright, so hello everyone. Today's video hopefully will be a little bit shorter for you than what we've been doing. Alright, so I want to kind of just jump right in. What we're going to be looking at today is how to write the square root or cube root function given its graph. Okay, so past 2 days, right, we learned how to graph a square root given the function, or graph a cube root given the function, right? And things to keep in mind here, remember that for the square root function, our parent function here, okay, remember the basic graph looks something like this, right? Okay, and then with that 0, 0, like or point there at 0, 0 being kind of like our special, center, like vertex almost like point to help us graph it. And then with the cube root, which remember is y equals the cube root of x, right? The graph of that looks something like this. Okay, where again 0, 0 is that important kind of like center point that we use to help translate left to right, up or down first before we then do the rest of the graph. So let's take a look here. Okay, so you'll see here, and I'm just stealing these pages from our book actually, that we're asked to write the function. So write the function that matches the graph using the indicated transformation format. All right, so let's take a look at our function here. Okay, so we're going to use our very familiar, a times x minus square root of x minus h plus k, right? So you can, whoop, sorry, I jumped up there. So you can see here that we're, going to try and identify any shifts left or right, any shifts up or down, and then any vertical stretches or shrinks. Okay, so let's take a look at our graph right here. Okay, now first thing I can notice here is that our graph is not starting at our normal point of 0, 0. How is it shifted? Well, again, when I ask questions, think about pausing the video, answering the question for yourself before moving on here. So how is this shifted? Well, it shifted left 2 and then down 1. So what does that mean? Well, if we're going to be going left 2, that means our function here will be a. We're going to figure that a out here in just a second. If we want to go left 2, that means I need to have x minus 2, or is it root x plus 2 to go left 2? Which one is it? Okay, it is the plus 2. So I need to fix. I'll just go ahead and do this. Voila. Okay, we also need to shift down 1, like we see right over here. So how do we shift down 1? Well, that's where that k is going to come into play. And what do I put in there for that k? To go down 1, we subtract 1, like that. Okay, now we're not quite done yet though, because I still got to figure out what this a value is. All right, but you'll notice here that there's another point given to us right here. Okay, and that coordinate is at -1, 2. So we can use that coordinate in our function here. 2 will go in for the y, or the g of x there, and -1 will go in where? And for the x right here. Oh dear. Okay, let me do this. Okay, like so. All right, and we have the -1 as well. And now we just simplify. Okay, so -1 plus 2 is going to give us a 1. Okay, square root of 1 is 1, so we have 1 times a minus 1. And now we just solve for a. So we'll add 1 to both sides. We'll get 3 equals a. And so there's our a value, and so we can finally write our answer, g of x equals 3 times the square root of x plus 2 minus 1. And there's our answer. That's the equation for this graph right here. All right, let's try another one. Okay, so for this one here, we're not going to use this format. We'll use the, actually I'm going to skip this one. We'll just skip this one entirely here. We'll just go down to these two right here. Okay, so here's an interesting one, another one. Again, we want to write it in the normal format that we've been doing, a x minus h, and then plus the k there. So again, how is this transformed? How is it shifted? Well, left 3 and up 5. So g of x then we'll leave that A, we'll figure that out in a little bit here, to shift left 3, we're going to have x what? Minus 3. Whoops, no, left 3 plus 3. There we go. And then to shift up 5, we're going to add 5 at the end there. Okay, and so that gives us our shift. We still got to figure the A. And again, that's where this other point comes in right here. Okay, what's the coordinate there? Well, it's negative 2, 2. So we'll plug that in to our function here. So 2 goes in for the y, negative 2 in for the x, and then we just simplify. So negative 2 plus 3 gives us 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1 times that a will just be 1a, so just a, and then plus the 5. And now we just solve, so subtract 5 from both sides. And a is negative 3. So our answer is g of x equals negative 3 for the a, root x plus 3 plus 5. And voila, there is our function. Okay, you can also graph this in your graphing calculator if you want to, and then compare it to the graph that you see right here. Check, make sure that you got the answer right. All right, we'll do one more here, and then we'll skip on to cubics. Oh, nope, that was the other one that I wanted to do. Okay, so those are the two right there that I'm going to do for examples. I skipped that one, that's okay. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. We're going to skip down to cubics now. Okay, we do the same thing with the cubic. All right, so remember back up here for the cubics, right? We also use that 0, 0 to help us identify, that center point, the transformation here. So in this graph, all right, there's that new center point. You can see it's not located at the origin. So how is it shifted? Well, what would the coordinates of this new center point be? Pause the video, take a second, see what you think. All right, so hopefully you did that, and if you look down here, we're actually counting by 2's. Each tick mark is 2. So that means this tick mark right here is a 1. So we actually went right 1, okay, and then up how much? Well, this is 2, 4, 6, and then between 6 and 8 would be 7. So the coordinates for this point are 1, 7. Okay, so when I go over here, I have to shift right 1 and then up 7. So again, we're dealing with a cube root here, so be careful. Oops, let me undo that. Make sure you put that 3 there. Again, this is a cube root. Just look at the graph. You can tell it's a cube root because of the shape of the graph there. And then x, to shift right 1 for that center, we're going to do -1. And then shift up 7, we're going to add 7 there. Okay, now it's just up to us to figure out what that a value is. And so we will pick another point, and luckily we have another point given to us here, right? Which is this one. What are its coordinates? Well, 2, and then halfway between 8 and this would be 10, that's going to be 9. So it's 2, 9. And so we're going to take that coordinate and again just plug it into our function right here. 9 in for the y value, 2 in for the x value. And then we'll simplify, just like we did for the square root. So 2 minus 1 gives me 1. Okay, subtract a 7 from both sides. So we get 2 equals, and then the cube root of 1 is just 1. So we have 1a, or just, just a if you like. We can even get rid of that. Oh dear. So just a if you like there. So a is 2. So g of x equals 2 times the cube root of x minus 1 plus 7. There's our graph. Okay, try another one here. So why don't you guys pause the video and try this one out. We're going to use the same format. So go ahead, pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, hopefully you pause the video and try this one on your own. So our shift here, we shifted right 2, so it'll be -2 for the right 2, and shifted up 1, again, because each one of these tick marks here is 2, so halfway would be 1. So +1. I just got to figure this a value out, which is easy enough to do. just using this point, which has coordinates, well, let's see here, it'd be right here, so that'd be 5, and this is 2. So 5, 2. So I'll put 2 in for the y, 5 in for the x, like so. Okay, now let's see here. I gotta multiply this out. So let's see, we get 2 equals a, and we have the cube root. 5 minus 2 is 3 plus 1. We'll subtract that. So now we gotta solve for a, right? So to get the a by itself, the first thing we'll do is subtract 1 from both sides. And that leaves us the 1 equals a times the cube root of 3. Now, if you type the cube root of 3 in your calculator, which again you can do by pressing the math button, and that'll let you access the cube root command on your calculator, it won't give you a nice number when you do cube root of 3 on your calculator. So what we'll do instead is we'll just divide both sides by the cube root of 3 to bring that, because it's really a times cube root of 3, and so we'll divide by the cube root of 3 over here to get rid of it. And so then a is this weird number 1 over the cube root of 3, and that's okay. That's going to be our a. Okay, and so we'll say g of x is 1 over the cube root of 3 times, the cube root of x minus 2 plus 1. And there's our answer. Okay. I'll do one more here for you, and then we'll get you started on the assignment. Okay, so again, if you want to pause the video, we'll do this one right here. Okay, so try that one on your own. Okay, so again, I see my center point right here. It shifted left 2 and down 2, 4, 5. So left 2, down 5 means our function will be a times the cube root of x plus 2, because we're shifting left 2, and then minus 5, because we're shifting down 5 there. Okay, and then to figure out what my a value is going to be, I'm going to use this other point right here, which is left 1 and down 3. So the coordinate there is -1, -3. And again, we'll type that, we'll not type it, plug it right into my function here. So -3 for the y value, or the g of x value, -1 in for x, and then solve. So it's -3 equals a cube root. So -1 plus 2 is 1. Okay, we'll add 5 to both sides. So -3 plus 5 is 2. The cube root of 1 is just 1. So it's, again, a times 1. So it's just 2 is a. And so our final answer is g of x equals 2 cube root x plus 2 minus 5. And again, that is the equation for that graph. All right, that's it for today. So I'll go ahead and give you guys the assignment. Check it out on Schoology. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.